Welcome everyone to the 2016-17 ECAC hockey season and our annual Men's Media Day. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ed Krajewski, Assistant Commissioner, ECAC Hockey. Today we are live from the ECAC Hockey offices in downtown Albany, New York. In addition to fielding questions for our members of the media today, we'll have a fun twist in format. We'll be receiving some questions live from our chat line, which was actually opened about a week or so ago. We got a great response from there. So we'll be alternating back from you guys sitting out there and some questions that I have planted. If everyone can put their cell phones on mute or vibrate so we don't get any unintended interruptions, that'd be great. It's another exciting time for the league. We're coming off a very successful campaign where our teams posted another solid interconference record, logging a .588 win percentage. We had 5 teams, Quinnipiac, Harvard, Yale, St. Lawrence, and Cornell, each finishing in the top 20, with 3 of those teams earning berths into the NCAA tournament, and Quinnipiac advancing to the title game. We look forward to continuing our momentum that we built over the last several seasons and placing our stamp in the college hockey world. These are the guys that make it happen right here to my left. We'll meet our coaches in a little bit. They'll provide us with some insight on the upcoming season as well as addressing some questions. But before we do that, I want to call up our commissioner who's guided the league since April 2004 to say a few words. Please join me in welcoming Steve Hagwell.
Thank you, Ed. Good morning. Welcome. As Ed noted, this is our official kickoff to the 2016-17 season. And it's an opportunity for us to come together to promote the great league that is ECAC hockey. I don't want to inundate you with numbers, but I want to add a little more to what Ed mentioned. He referenced last year's numbers, but over the course of the past 5 years, I'll give you a snapshot of just how successful this league has been. Our league regular season race has seen 8 teams finish in the top 4. 9 teams have advanced to the league semifinals, including 7 different programs in the last 3 years of our championship in Lake Placid. 6 teams have advanced to the NCAA championship, and of those 6, 5 have advanced to the Frozen Four, including 3 programs competing for the national title, with Union and Yale capturing the national title. Last year, on an individual basis, Harvard's Jimmy Vesey was the recipient of the 2016 Hobey Baker Memorial Award in recognition of being the top player in Division I men's college hockey. This year, we are anticipating another exciting season, and that excitement will not be long in coming. In less than 2 weeks, October 1, to be precise, the league will celebrate the opening of Colgate University's new facility, the Class of 1965 Arena. On that day, Colgate will host a doubleheader, with its women's program hosting New Hampshire, followed by head coach Don Vaughn's Raiders playing host to Army. The opening of Colgate's facility will be another great moment in the history of this league, and we are confident it shall be a prelude to a very special season. We look forward to touting the success of our teams throughout the season, culminating with our league championship in Lake Placid and the NCAA Frozen Four in Chicago. The success of any league certainly rests with its members, in this case, 12 institutions that comprise ECAC hockey. However, in addition to the member institutions led by the head coaches, the league benefits from relationships with entities and individuals who come together to partner with the league. Allow me to acknowledge some of those entities and individuals. Kyle Sweeney, Vice President of Sport Nutrition with Dual Fuel, an entity with which this league has partnered this season. Tim Roth, Senior VP of Business Development with Play-by-Play Sports. The league has partnered with Play-by-Play beginning this season. Denny Allen and John Lundeen from Orta in Lake Placid, home of our men's championship. We look forward to crowning a champion in March 2017 at the historic 1980 rink, Herb Brooks Arena. The staff of ASN, the American Sports Network, which televises games throughout the season, including our league semifinals and championship game. And finally, we are extremely grateful to the staff here at MSG at the Times Union Center for hosting this event. ECAC Hockey has made its home office here in the arena for the past 13 years. In closing, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the contributions of the league staff who make events like this happen. Jacob Fakura, 3 days on the job as our 2016-17 intern, has jumped right into the mix. Paul Stewart, our Director of Officiating, who also is entering his 10th season with the league. And Ed Krajewski, our Assistant Commissioner, who begins his 10th season. Ed does a tremendous job of making me look good and deserves all the credit for today's festivities. Thank you again for coming. We look forward to seeing you throughout the season.
Thanks, Steve. Before we begin our press conference, we're going to announce our preseason polls. We're going to start off with our coaches poll. First, on the coaches poll, we have Quinnipiac receiving 6 first place votes and 110 points. St. Lawrence came in the number 2 spot with 4 first place votes and 102 points. Harvard in the 3rd slot with 96 points. Clarkson, 88 points in the number 4 spot. Yale coming in at number 5, receiving 1 first place vote and 84 points. Cornell receiving 1 first place vote in the number 6 slot with 75 points, followed by Union, 71 points. Rensselaer, 51. Dartmouth, 41. And the number 10 spot is Brown at 31 points. Number 11 is Colgate with 22. And number 12 is Princeton with 21. The coaches also selected a preseason all-conference team. There's some familiar faces on this, as well as team leaders. Goaltender from St. Lawrence, Kyle Hayton. Our 2 defensemen, one from Quinnipiac, Connor Clifton. The other, Gavin Bayreuther from St. Lawrence. Our forwards, Tim Clifton from Quinnipiac. From Harvard, Alexander Kerfoot, and Mike Vecchione from Union. And now it's time to unveil our men's media poll that is conducted by Ken Schott every year. He's a spokesperson for ECAC Hockey Beat Writers Association. He spearheads this process. We had about 26, 27 participants this year, which was great. Ken, if you'll kindly step up to the podium and unveil that, then we'll meet our coaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Once again, it was a lot of fun to put this together. And for the first time in the media poll, Quinnipiac is on top. They received 12 of 27 first place votes and 288 points. St. Lawrence came in second with 8 first place votes and 280 points. Harvard, number 3, with 3 first place votes and 257 points. Yale was 4th with 222, followed by Cornell with 1 first place vote and 216 points, and Clarkson had 3 first place votes and 214 points. Rounding out the rest of the field, Rensselaer was 7th, Union 8th, Dartmouth 9th, Colgate 10th, Brown 11th, and Princeton 12th. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken, for putting together that poll, and thanks to all the media members who participated in this year's poll. Now it's time to meet our coaches. We'll have copies, just stepping back a bit, we'll have copies of all these releases. We'll put them on our back table in the lunchroom right behind the podium here after this press conference. Now it's time to meet our coaches. ECAC Hockey has strong roots as 5 of the head coaches lead their program at their alma maters, and we have 10 coaches who played in the league as student athletes. First, Coach Brendan Whittet being one of those coaches, coaching at his alma mater, Brown. Clarkson head coach Casey Jones, whose squad is returning 6 of its top 7 scorers from last season, a total of 18 letter winners. Colgate, Don Vaughn, who was 19 wins shy of the 400 mark. Mike Schaefer, head coach at Cornell. This will be the 60th season of hockey at Lina Rink this season. Bob Gaudette at Dartmouth, coaching at his alma mater. He will welcome 11 rookies to the Big Green roster this season. Someone who's had success as a player, at the collegiate, professional, and international levels, and now behind the bench at Harvard, Ted Donato. Ron Fogarty at Princeton, whose Tigers returned 5 of their scores from last year, 5 of their top scores from last year. Reigning National Coach of the Year, Rand Pecknold from Quinnipiac. Seth Appert at Rensselaer, who took over the reins of the engineers program beginning in the 2006-07 season. Mark Morris, who's back in the North Country, this time guiding the St. Lawrence program into its next chapter. Welcome back, Coach. Rick Bennett of Union, who boasts the 6th best winning percentage among active Division I coaches. And Keith Elaine of Yale, whose squad looks to advance to the NCAA tournament for the 7th time in the last 9 years. We're going to start off with some questions. I'm going to pull a few from the pre-chat that we had. We're going to start off with Clarkson. This one came in from Adam at the Hockey News for Casey Jones. Yeah, if you guys can just share the mic and pass it along as need be. What are the expectations of the Golden Knights this year? You guys have been improving every year. What are the realistic expectations for the Golden Knights? If you can look directly into the camera as well as we are streaming this live. Thanks.
Well, obviously, coming into the year, we have a veteran team. You build towards things, and it's a year that we're excited about our schedule. Right off the get-go, the month of October is going to be an interesting one for our program. But we have the likes of UNH and Merrimack and Vermont and Minnesota and Wisconsin coming into Cheel, so it's an exciting time in the North Country from that perspective. But with a group that's been around with our coaching staff for multiple years now, we think we have as deep a team we've had in recent since I've been at Clarkson. And we're excited about the season, excited to get going. My two assistants have done a great job of bringing in a talented group of freshmen, but you can't win our league without good upperclassmen. And we have guys entering critical years and sophomores, juniors, seniors that I think are really good players, and hopefully they'll help us make that step. We've been shut out of the Lake Placid so far with some playoff losses. So obviously we'd like to advance a little bit further into playoffs, but just out of the gate, we want to make sure we're playing hard, playing Clarkson hockey, and we're excited about the season.
Thanks, Coach. I'll take one here before we start with questions from the media members who are present. This one for St. Lawrence's coach, Mark Morris. This comes from Nate at uscho.com. How has it been transitioning back to the college game?
Well, it's been an eye-opener for me. Obviously, it's been quite a while since I've been back in the college game, but I think the biggest learning curve for me is getting acclimated to the recruiting process. It's certainly a lot different than it was in the past. We're recruiting younger players and things of that nature, but I'm really looking forward to it. I've always been interested in the ECAC, especially over the last 14 years, watching how the league has grown and progressed. And I think about the fact that some of these programs continue to be in the hunt for national prominence, and it's really heartwarming to see that the league has remained strong. And looking around here and being able to look at the personalities and the people that I've been associated with in the past, it brings a great amount of pride to myself, and then also I'm just glad to have the opportunity to be back in college hockey.
Thanks, Coach. We're going to open up to some questions for those media members present. We do have a mic that we'll pass around. Just raise your hand. John will bring that over to you. Please identify yourself and your affiliation prior to asking your question. Thanks. Questions? Ed up front.
Half the league between the two polls got first place votes. What's that say about the league and any of the guys? Is that the most balance that we've seen in how long?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I think there's such parity top to bottom. I think there are really no easy nights in our league. I think it really is a tough grind to make it through the league because every night the points are so tough to come by. I have a great amount of respect. Not only for the programs, but I think this league has some of the best coaches, in all of college hockey. And I think if you look at their accomplishments across the board, I'm very privileged to be part of this group. So, it should be an interesting year. I don't think the coaches spend a lot of time worrying about where their team shows up in the polls, because we realize that the games are so close that the smallest details usually change the winner and the loser. So should be a really interesting year. I expect our league to be very competitive, not only within the league but within the country. So I think everybody's looking forward to it.
Thanks, Coach. Our next question came in a few days ago. This is for Mike Schaefer at Cornell. It's from Anthony with the New York Hockey Journal. Besides your trio, your jam line, as it's known in the media, which players are you counting on for scoring this season?
In September, I had no idea. To be honest with you, just looking forward to seeing which kind of player will jump up like Jeff Kubiak did last year. Jeff went from having an okay year as a freshman and sophomore. I think all of us as coaches, we're just kind of wondering who that player is going to be on all of our teams when they get a chance to get in new roles, whether it's power play, 5-on-5, playing with better players in another year. And I would love to be able to answer that question, but just looking forward to see which one of those players is going to step up and given the opportunity to be in a different role this year and see what they can do in a new season.
Thanks, Coach. Any questions out there for our coaches? Ken?
Ken Shaw for the Daily Gazette. Rand, Joe Dumais is now on your staff. What was it like to get him back on your staff, and how's he fit in so far? Obviously, he played for you as well, so it's kind of a familiar face for you.
Yeah, we're it was difficult to lose Reed Cashman. I think he's been a big part of our success over the last 5 years as a coach and previous as a player. But we are ecstatic to get Joey back at Quinnipiac. He played for me. He was a great captain, great leader, and we're only a short time in, but he's going to do a great job for us. And he did a great job at Union, and we're excited moving forward.
Thanks, Coach. We'll field a question that came in a few days ago from Nate at USCHO.com. This one for Bob Gaudette at Dartmouth. Of the incoming freshmen, who do you see making an immediate impact?
I'm going to miss that one right now. I'm looking at 11 guys that I'm getting to know right this minute. We just started school, and I credit John Rose and David Lasson for bringing this group in. I think it's a really, really strong group. We have 2 goalies, 2 defensemen, and 7 forwards. And graduating 10 guys off of last year's team, graduating 9 off of the previous year's team. What I'm looking for is a group of freshmen to come in and really take the bull by the horns. It's going to be a really competitive preseason. We have a lot of young players on our team between the 11 freshmen and the 6 sophomores we have. It's a really young team. It's going to be a lot of fun. But what I've seen so far has been off the ice, and the guys are in great shape. I'm excited about what we've got coming up. We open up against the University of Michigan at home on October 29th, and I know there'll be some really fine freshmen in that lineup, but we'll have a good, solid group led by our captain, Carl Hessler, who's just an outstanding kid. So looking forward to it.
Thanks, Coach. Our next question, also in from the folks at USCHO.com. This is for Coach Whittet at Brown. Who do you see replacing the production of the likes of Nick Lappin this season?
Well, I mean, Nick was a heck of a player. He was a guy that we played in a lot in all situations. He was very reliable, and so he's not somebody that we would look to replace per se, but we need some other guys to step to the forefront. We've been a very, very young team the last few years, besides the exception such as Lappin and Niclario. So for us, I look towards that large sophomore group that is now juniors, and there's some good players in that group, but they need to step up, and they need to be guys that we can rely upon, just like we did with Nicky. And to each of them, they have that ability. It's just who steps to the forefront. I mean, time will tell, as some of the other coaches had mentioned. And again, I'm just glad that it's a new year, and for us, we can put our focus on this year and each day just trying to get better and be a better team and be a better group of guys and make sure that we're on top of it when the puck does drop.
Thanks, Coach. Question that came in yesterday from the New England Hockey Journal. This is for Rensselaer's head coach Seth Appert. Who will replace the leadership in defense that Chris Bradley brought last year?
That's a great question. Chris Bradley was a phenomenal captain for us. I think he was second in the country in block shots last year. So, I think what we look to right away is our upperclassmen, and we have a real fine defenseman, Parker Reno. I think he was real unsung last year. We struggled a little bit in the second half of the year defensively, and we didn't win as many games when he went out for the season with injury. He missed, I think he got injured second week in January and missed the rest of the year. And we were not as good defensively without him. So Parker Reno, and then Mike Prapavesis and Jared Wilson. Prapavesis a little more offensive minded. But I think what's underrated about him as well is, like Bradley, I think Prapavesis was also in the top 10 in the nation in block shots last year. So I think those three guys, being the juniors and seniors, are going to have to lead the way while some of the young guys gain valuable experience.
Thanks, Coach. Our next question for Colgate head coach Don Vaughn. Stephen mentioned already about the new home that the Raiders will be in this season. I believe there's a select a seat day this evening for your fans. Please tell everyone what we can expect when we visit the class of 1965 arena.
Well, clearly it's a very exciting time for us at Colgate. It's a project that has been in the works for a number of years, and to actually see it rise from the ground this year was quite emotional. I mean, it was a process that I was in on from day one, and we've been through a couple of presidents and a couple of athletic directors, and here we find ourselves today. Actually, day one for us. We're moving into the new building this afternoon. We'll have our first practice in the Class 65 arena, the Stephen J. Riggs rink, tomorrow morning at 7. But today also, as Ed mentioned, is select a seat day, so our season ticket holders will get a chance to be in the building and look around. And it's really hard to put into words after having been at Colgate for as long as I have, and a rink that that certainly served its purpose, but was getting a little bit tired in Star Rink. To see this new building, as I said, rise from the ground has been pretty exciting for us. I think you'll all enjoy it. The amenities are much better. The sight lines and the press boxes are much better. It's just it's like a new rink. The scoreboard is state of the art, and it's really exciting, not only for us, but I think for the league too. It says that hockey is important to Colgate. We're thrilled to be a part of the best league in the country, and I think anytime a university puts its best foot forward like this and builds a facility like this, it speaks volumes about the league, and we speak to excellence both as an institution, like all of our schools do, and also within our facilities. So we're really looking forward to welcoming you all to the new rink this year. The bowling alley is still in the old building. You'll have to walk across, Ken, and get your frames in over there. But so far, anyways, it's still there. There may be some more renovation coming down the road.
Thanks, Coach. Our next question for Princeton's head coach, Ron Fogarty. This comes from Josh at College Hockey News. How much of a surprise was it last year to have so many young guys make big contributions offensively, and how confident does that make you feel going into this year?
It wasn't a surprise because they were thrown right into the fire as freshmen, but they were most capable of playing the workload that they did. And we expect them to continue that production and maybe hide a little bit with the incoming freshmen to help contribute in the offensive part of our game. But they came back in great shape, and they left last year realizing that their roles are going to even expand in hopes of more wins this year. So I'm really excited what the current sophomore class is bringing to the program, along with the incoming freshmen with the skill, and hopefully that our senior Colton Finney can keep us in the games throughout the season.
Thanks, Coach. Next week. Or any questions out there? I have a bunch here that I'm going to be continuing to ask, but I don't want to neglect anybody. Pete, up front.
Pete Doherty, Albany Times Union. Question for Rand. Preseason poll, no surprise you're on top. Kind of makes you a bit of a target. Do you welcome that challenge, or do you kind of kind of like ignore what the people were saying in the preseason?
Well, first off, it was a surprise to me. I didn't think we would get picked one with losing the 4 All-Stars that we lost off last year's team. So it was nice to get the respect from the coaches and media. But in the end, I say it every year. Like we don't worry a lot about the polls. I don't remember we got picked last year. I don't know if it was 4 or 5 or Ken's holding up 2. So I was off there too. So we got to. It's a great league. We got to focus on getting better every day. And we've got a great culture, a great locker room, and we certainly have some really good players to replace. Find a new goaltender, and that'll all work itself out as we go through the year.
Thanks, Rand. Other questions out there for our coaches? Actually have one that just came in for Union's head coach, Rick Bennett. Is there anything you identified that could improve your team's consistency this year?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things from last year, but I think it starts with our staff as well. I think it's very easy to kind of put it on the players. I think that's the one thing that we learned when we did a little bit of an audit as a coaching staff, in the springtime. So, obviously I think we can just be a bit more balanced throughout the, especially through our league. I think our non-conference schedule was pretty good. It was just once we got in the league, just kind of fell apart a bit.
Thanks, Rick. Any other questions out there? I have one for Yale's head coach, Keith Elaine. Keith, the last 2 seasons the Bulldogs, this is from USCHO.com, the last 2 seasons the Bulldogs posted the top scoring defense in the nation. Do you think it'll end up as an area of strength again this year, your defense?
I certainly hope so. We never set out to be a great defensive team. I don't see the game of hockey as either you're defensive or you're offensive. We like our players to be great offensively when we have the puck and be great defensively when the other team has the puck. I think the fact that we were statistically sound defensively has a lot to do with the players that we had in our lineup. We graduated 3 defensemen who all had great careers at Yale, and our junior goaltender Alex signed. So obviously we're not going to have the same personnel defensively, but I think you'll see the same commitment to playing defense, the same attention to detail, and hopefully those lead to pretty good numbers.
Thanks, Keith. Any questions out there? Okay. Next question for Ted Donato at Harvard. This is from Bernie at Giant Sports. Will there be a goaltending battle this year between Madsen and Lackey for the #1 spot?
I think Mark Madsen had a great year last year. We also have a lot of confidence in Michael Lackey. He is certainly battling some health issues right now, so I think Merrick has earned the opportunity to to be the guy at the beginning of the year, and we expect him to pick up right where he left off last year and continue to develop and improve.
Thanks, Coach. We have a question in from College Hockey News. This is for Coach Morse at St. Lawrence. You'll be tasked with rebuilding or replacing centers coming into this year. How important will a quick rebuild be at that position?
It'll be really important for us. I think we're going to have to experiment a little bit with guys that have played center ice position in their previous stints in junior hockey and prep hockey. I think we have to find some guys to shore that up. Obviously, it's an extremely important position in that those are the guys that distribute pucks and make decisions and are a big part of defending. So, we'll certainly find that to be a big challenge, and I look at it as an opportunity for some of the guys that are vying for quality ice to embrace that role.
Thanks, Coach. Next question for Coach Whitted at Brown from the folks at USCHO.com. Besides Max Gottlieb, who do you see stepping up on defense this year for the Bears?
Max had a good year last year as a freshman. He's a pretty talented offensive guy. We need to make sure that we're on top of it on the back end. And again, I go back to the sophomore class that's now juniors, including Josh McCardle and Dane Cooper. Dane's been hurt for the past 2 years.
and has been in and out of the lineup. But he's a guy that, as we look to this year, if we can get him consistently in, he's a pretty good defender. On top of Josh, and like everything, guys have to step to the forefront, whether it be the incoming freshmen or the guys that are moving up. I don't really have preconceived notions right now in that regard. I think guys are in their opportunity. So it'll be a battle. We have pretty good numbers this year, which we haven't in the past in terms of competitiveness and having that ability to be able to have some accountability into what we're doing.
Thanks, Coach. Anything else out there? All right, next question for Union's Rick Bennett. Coach, your 2016-17 schedule presents some challenges. The first 4 games are on the road. You have a visit from the national champion North Dakota squad. How important is it these days to face and schedule ambitious teams? How does it help you when you're leading into the regular season conference play?
Well, it just helps you for the overall picture as you go into the the finals. After you finish the season. So, we had a nice challenge ahead of us. Going to Michigan for 2. I just felt that it's something that we need. I know it's an old cliche, but you get on the road, it's strictly hockey. It's all about hockey, and it's good. It's a good bonding experience. For your team, for the coaching staff, and as well as your support staff as well. But we're not going to read too much into it. I felt last year it seemed like we had about 60 home games to start off the year there. So that we saw what that formula worked out to be. But we're kind of excited for it, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Coach. Next question is for Coach Mike Schaefer at Cornell. This past summer, you and some of your players embarked on a service trip to the Dominican Republic. It was the 4th time you made the venture since 2009. Share with the group some of the goals of the trip and the mission.
The goals of the trip, we've been out the Dominican on a mission trip, and we've over the past 4 trips we've built schools, churches, really seeing the quality of life in the middle of the Dominican where we've gone, really improve over those 4 trips where now the government kind of helps they've helped build onto the schools that we've built down there and kind of taken them over. And going down there, it's always an experience for the people that go down. The quality of life that they walk in and they see. And this past year, we were able to bring down computers. We brought down 22 bags of hockey, not hockey equipment. It was in hockey bags, but shoes and clothes, and it was just a phenomenal experience. We dropped off computers to schools. We Days for Girls program that we brought down this past year for girls so they go to school. But I think the biggest thing is to see the quality of life improve. But really for our players and our getting to know them in a 5-day span, I get to know them better in those 5 days, and I get to know them in a whole year. No phones, no electricity, no nothing. It's a tremendous experience to see them grow. But the biggest part of the experience is for our players and people that go is that really to see how the relationships that the people have down there that have nothing, and how they teach us really how the kind of relationships that we should be having when we're back here in the United States. So it's a tremendous experience, and it's something that we hope to continue for many years.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Coach. Next question for Ron Fogarty from Josh Vina of Eye of the Tigers. Which players from your senior class do you think will have the biggest impact this year on your squad?
We're going to need leadership from our captains. Ryan Ciro is our captain for this season, and just need a positive outlook from him. On the ice, there's no question it's going to be Colton Finney. Had shoulder surgery during the summer, and he's 100% ready to go for the beginning of the season. So he'll be able to hold down the fort, but we just have to do a better job in front of him, take away time and space, just with all the excellent scores that are present throughout the ECAC. But if those guys can get into the right mindset, they've had 3 losing seasons, and it's very tough to change that mindset, but I believe that that senior class has the capability of putting everything behind them. Look forward to this year with a positive outlook and treating every game like it's their last game.
Thanks, Coach. Next question for Dartmouth's head coach, Bob Gardette. This is from USCHO.com. Is Devin Buffalo your starting goalie entering the year?
Good question. We'll see. Devin played his first game at Michigan last year. I told him at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon that he was playing because we had an illness and we lost the night before, and he was fabulous in a 1-1 tie in front of 6,500 people in his first college game. I remember asking him if he was ready. We were just about to go on the ice. We're standing in the runway. Of course, Ren Berenson was running onto the ice somehow, and I hold on to the dasher. I don't know how he does that at his age, but when I asked Buff if he was ready, he said, "I've been waiting for this all my life." So I guess that was the answer. He's a confident kid. I love him. He's a full-blooded Cree Indian. He's a First Nation kid from Alberta, and I think it speaks a lot to who he is. He's a wonderful kid, and so I'm hoping for the best from him. We got a couple of young guys, and Adrian Clark and Dean Schatzer that are freshmen. They're going to challenge him, but Buff did a good job for us. His first career win was at RPI last year, and I thought he did a good job hanging in there with 2 really good senior goaltenders in front of him.
Thanks, Coach. Next question for Clarkson's head coach, Casey Jones from USCHO.com. Do you feel this is one of your deepest groups that you've had during your time with the Golden Knights?
Well, one of the things I challenged with when I got to Clarkson, we had a couple of big classes. And that's kind of been our cycle. Every year it's you're bringing in every 2 years it's 10 or 11 incoming freshmen, and we're kind of a little bit more balanced now. We kind of weeded that out to get classes a little bit more evenly distributed. But obviously we have a good sized senior class, we have a good sized junior class, and as the cycle of recruiting got going, we think we have good players in those classes, and they're in good years and they're in good places. So obviously it's having some veteran players that you're confident in. I would say yes, it's obviously our deepest team. But that being said, it's going to be up for them how hard they want to play for each other and how committed they are to do little things in the game. There's such a small margin in our league, as the guys are saying in front of you here today. It's with the amount of teams picked to potentially finish first. It's nice to know going into season we have some veteran players on our roster.
Thanks, Coach. Other questions out there for the men's coaches? Pete, up front.
A question from Brendan, just the risk of going back to last year. We had a chance to see Nick Lappin for about a month and a half in his pro debut. I'm thinking you probably weren't surprised with what he did. Certainly opened our eyes, but you just talk about his transition into the from college to pro.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously had a great stretch once we were eliminated, and he had the opportunity to come and play for Albany down the stretch and in the playoffs. He's always been a guy that's been able to shoot a hockey puck. I mean, he's got a knack and a nose for the net. How that translates sometimes from the college game to higher levels, it's hard to see sometimes. But Nick has a intrinsic internal drive to be a professional hockey player, and like I said, he was very, very consistent for us over 4 years. He scored a lot of goals and a lot of big goals, and played a lot of minutes for us. But to say, was that transition going to be a smooth one for him? You just don't know. Although he does have, like I said, he did have a lot of those intangibles that will allow him hopefully to be successful over time. But he's a good player and a heck of a kid, and I know that he was looking forward to this coming year.
Thanks, Coach. A few things from the league's end. This summer we redesigned our website. We should be launching that anytime. We're actually just waiting for our web provider to turn over a proof for us with the help of some coaches, some administrators, and SIDs who provided some input. It'll have a really good, fresh look to it, some nice features, a fan central area. So please be on the lookout for that. Our website is always an event in progress, so to speak. We're always working in progress on this. Any feedback from any of our guests or visitors is always appreciated. So please be on the lookout pretty soon for that relaunch. This year will be our fourth year for our men's championship, fourth year in a row, that is, for our men's championship in Lake Placid at the 1980 rink, Herb Brooks Arena. We're slated to go up there March 17th and 18th. Stay tuned for some ticket information, probably around the holidays. We usually do are on sale. Other questions out there for the coaches? Next one from uscho.com for Keith Elaine. Bless you. You're welcoming 9 new members to the Bulldogs roster, your largest incoming class under your reign at Yale. Who should we keep an eye out this season for immediate impact?
Yeah, I mean, each and every one of those 9 was recruited hard and recruited for a reason, and we would expect them all to make a positive impact on our hockey team. So I wouldn't single any of them out. You know, we're bringing in 5 forwards. They all bring different skills to the table, but they're all things that I think will help make us a better hockey team. 3 defensemen who will all certainly see ice time this year, early this year, and a goaltender that we think can develop into a good goaltender in our league. But we're excited about the group, you know, and I think they'll be important to what success we may have this year. But, you know, as Casey said, the real key to having success in the ECAC is to have a strong veteran group. So we're going to be relying on our upperclassmen to show these guys the way.
Thanks, Keith. Next, a question for Ted Donato at Harvard from College Hockey News. What are the goals that your team is striving for this season?
Well, I think, you know, the goals will be set pretty high. I think we want to, you know, contend for the league championship and make it back to Albany. I mean, make it back to Lake Placid. We've been there the last 2 years. It's a, you know, great experience for our players. I think, you know, the difficult part in this league is that every night is such a challenge that I think we really got to kind of keep our focus, you know, game to game. But, you know, it's a group that's been in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years and played in the ECAC championship game the last couple of years. So I think you know, they have a lot of internal goals, but I think with all the teams, and we're no different, you know, it's really about improving day to day to give yourself that opportunity later in the season. So I think it'll be a very competitive league, and you know, I think our goals are to be the best team we can be, you know, by developing throughout the season.
Thanks, Coach. Next question is for Seth Appert at Rensselaer from the folks at uscho.com. Who do you see stepping up offensively this year for the Engineers?
I think Shafe referred to it before with Kubiak, you know, and for our Kubiak last year was Riley Bourbonnais, who went through, you know, up and down freshman, sophomore year, became a good sophomore for us, didn't play much as a freshman, and all of a sudden jumped to 15 goals last year. And I think he missed 8 games, so he's probably on pace for 20. So we need that. We have a talented junior class, guys that have contributed since day one. Guys like Victor Liljegren and Drew Melanson, Louis Nanny. Louis was our second leading scorer last year as a sophomore. Mike Prapavesis was an offensive defenseman. Jared Wilson. So we certainly need our juniors and seniors to lead the way. But I think if you want to have success in this league, you need depth of scoring, and I think we need all guys to that are playing key roles to make jumps, and that Bourbonnais type jump to go from 5 to 10 goals or 5 to 15, so we can have the depth of scoring necessary to contend for a championship.
Thanks, Coach. Any questions out there? Next question for Colgate's head coach, Don Vaughn, from the College Hockey News. What are you expecting from Charlie Finn this year? Is he your number 1 goaltender?
Well, Charlie's coming off some surgery this summer, so he's on the mend. He's probably a little bit ahead of schedule right now. We did bring in another goaltender over the summer, NHL draft pick by the name of Colton Point, who's a big, strong goaltender, which I think has inspired Charlie to get back even quicker than might have been expected. So, and we've got 2 other goaltenders. We've got 4 goalies in our program right now, so there's a lot of competition in that position. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, Charlie, coming off the surgery, there's just a little bit of a question mark there. But he didn't have the kind of season last year as a junior that we've all come to expect, and he'd be the first to admit that. And he's a very competitive guy, maybe one of the most competitive on our team. And I can tell you this, that it will be a battle, and Charlie's not going to give up that number 1 spot easily.
Thanks, Coach. Next question for Quinnipiac's Rand Pecknold. Our teams have traditionally had the unique opportunity of playing in some great tournaments around the U.S. and into Canada, and now in Belfast. This will be our second year. We're participating in the Friendship Four. With Quinnipiac and St. Lawrence will be traveling there the week of Thanksgiving. Coach, if you can just fill us in a little bit about the opportunity that the Bobcats have in Belfast this November.
Yeah, we're excited to go over. When we got invited, I reached out to Coach Whitted and Coach Vaughn, and they felt it was an awesome experience for their student athletes, and we're looking forward to it. We think we got 4 really good teams going over, so it's kind of a unique scenario to be doing it in season. And our game with St. Lawrence will be a league game, so that's a little unusual. But it is what it is, and we look forward to those games and having a good trip over there.
Thanks, Coach. Other questions from you guys out there? All right, sticking with the goaltending topic, a question came in from uscho.com for Casey Jones. Do the Golden Knights have a starter in goal, or is it an open competition heading into the season?
Well, obviously, goaltending has been an issue for us the last few years. I thought that was a big difference in our team last year. I thought, before Christmas, we were sub 880 in save percentage, and then Greg Lewis took the bull by the horn second half and put us in that mid 920s, and we made a good push. So expectations are, Steve's done it before. He's a senior. He had a season-ending injury a couple of years ago in January. So he's had a great summer here this year. We have an incoming player, the goaltender that won a USHL championship last year and comes in with high credentials, and he's won everywhere he's been. So expectations are, I think, just like every other guy here at this table, is the season's short and the best goalie will play. So it is an open competition.
Ken, Ed, you guys have anything out there? All right. I'm going to ask a few more, and then we'll open it up to some one-on-ones for you guys. All right. Bear with me. Just going through my notes here. Question for head coach Ted Donato at Harvard. This is from Nate at uscho.com. How do you feel about the depth of your defense entering the season?
Well, I think we'll be young in that position. We graduated 2 seniors, but we do return a lot of guys that got some valuable experiences last year. We bring in a talented freshman class, especially on the blue line as well. So it's a tough league. There's a lot of different teams in this league with different skill sets, whether teams are big and strong or fast and skilled. We realize that it'll be a situation where we'll need to continue to develop through the season, but we feel we have the talent in the position to make it a strength of our team.
Thanks, Coach. This question just came in for Rick Bennett at Union. What are you expecting from Mike Vecchione during his senior year? I know he's actually the leading point getter going into the season among all student athletes. What are you expecting from Mike this year?
I just think from Mike's standpoint, we're looking for Mike to first and foremost just be the captain leader of our team, kind of set the tone on and off the ice, and then from his game just to play the 200-foot game that we constantly preach. And I think Mike really bought into that last year. I think his points went down because of that, but that's okay. At the end of the day, we feel he became a better player, and so hopefully he'll learn. Hopefully his line mates this year will help him out in that regards, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Coach. This is for head coach Mark Morris. This is from the folks at uscho.com. From what you've seen so far, how impressed are you with the depth of your defense?
Well, it's a nice situation to come into. Obviously, 3 senior defensemen, that are actually 4. There's some really quality guys back there. They can contribute offensively, and they all skate well. So it's a good start, and I'm looking forward to working with those guys and having those guys generate a lot of our offense from the back end. It's in the video that I've watched, I think that they did a great job in the past, and hopefully they continue to do that and be constant contributors and good shutdown guys.
Thanks, Coach. Any other questions out there before we start one-on-ones that I know a bunch of you guys want? All right, hearing none, we just want to thank the staff at SMG, Aramark, RPI TV, Boxcast, Myriad Productions, and our SIDs for their contributions today and making our event a true success. And a special thanks to the league coaches for taking the time out of their busy schedules for participating today. We look forward to seeing everyone in the upcoming season. We do have lunch after on the other side behind the backdrop for everybody. If you need one-on-ones with the coaches, just reach out to me or one of the SIDs. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys.